If this video gets 2,000 likes, I will release a third folder with 100 pictures in it. Culturally, we are expected to become a full-fledged adult at a specific date. But when did you stop perceiving yourself as a child? My father is 54. I asked him this exact question. He said it never happened. He just kinda ran with the fact that he had a wife, then a child, then another child. When I started to see my parents' flaws and understand they didn't have it all figured out. Probably when I was around 19 or 20. I had left home to join the Navy. I was paying my bills and pretty much looking after myself. And I was running a nuclear reactor on a submarine. Feel an adult in a few ways. Child in many other. Last year, my father died. I'm in my mid-30s now. I was a kid until I knew I had no one to lean on anymore. I've saved more than I ever have. I've done more work around my house to maintain things than I ever have. I've almost immediately stopped wasting so much time on Reddit and other nonsense. When I was 22, a friend and I decided to backpack across Europe. We are American. We planned everything out in advance. But while there a rail strike threw off our schedule. As such, I had to at the last minute book a flight for my friend and I from Berlin to Paris. As we were boarding the plane, it just sort of struck me that I'd managed to successfully book air travel by myself in a foreign country at the last minute. I thought to myself, wow, I might actually be able to function on my own. I'm over 60, I'll let you know when it happens. I stopped thinking of myself as a child when I could drive at 16. I started thinking of myself as an adult when my friends started getting pregnant on purpose. That was about at 26 or so. Monday, when I got my full driver's license. I'm 41 and have 2 kids. This is going to sound stupid, but I sort of feel like I'm experiencing Scrodinger's childhood. I simultaneously still feel like a child and also feel like I never really was one. My mom and I had a weird dynamic because of her physical and emotional health issues, so that I took care of her a lot when I was young. So I feel like the sense of responsibility, self-sacrifice, and cynicism all hit me at an incredibly young age. But at the same time I'm pushing 40 and I still get a childlike sense of wonder about things. I play video games and watch cartoons sometimes. And I still get the feeling of wanting someone to take care of me and all my problems, even though I know that won't happen. When we moved to a new city and my mom wasn't financially stable to move as well. So I had to grow up quite quickly in order to get everything done for myself. I was about 11 at the time. I'm 72. Still waiting for that day. I know I'm an adult. I behave as one. But my childhood is still very vivid in my consciousness. And many of my feelings connect to that part of my life. Especially my fears. My family has been struggling with money since I was like 13. And I always dreamt of growing up fast. Graduating and earning money so I could pay for all the bills. Even asking for buying basic material to my mom. I thought I was giving her another burden to live with. So when I look back, it was then I think I wasn't a kid anymore. When I crawled in bed one night and noticed my closet door was open. And I didn't bother to get up and close it. When my bills started getting paid out of my own bank account instead of my parents' account. I stopped perceiving myself as a child when I was 17 and my grandma acted like a spoiled teenager by trash talking my girlfriend just under her breath enough that I cold pretended I didn't hear it. But I did hear it. And I left the family get together because of it. And didn't talk to my grandmother for years. It was around then that I realized adulthood doesn't bring some grand information that lets you take care of yourself and others. Adults are just children in wrinkled bodies pretending they know what's going on when in reality they have no fucking clue and are guessing at every turn. I came to the conclusion that the most mature people were the ones that were immature. The ones who would smile and laugh and make crass jokes. But stand up for you when you're down and have your back when you need it. I started looking up to my grandfather on the other side of the family. Despite his childish fart jokes, he was a hard worker and cared a lot. I'd rather be someone who others can rely on and enjoy being around. And not someone who wanted to be perceived as mature. When I was 21 and found out I was pregnant. Bam. My childhood was over that second. I still felt like a kid pretty much up until that moment. But you know what? I don't mind one bit. My kid is pretty awesome. Yesterday, when I started making my own doctor's appointments behind my parents' back. I'm 25 and still feel like a child. But then I'll be doing something like doing the dishes, and I'm just like, when the fuck did this happen? I'm an adult, working an adult job, earning money to rent my own house, and cooking my own meals. On one hand, when I was 18 and living on my own. On the other, I don't really feel like an adult at 37. I can't wait to get off of work to play my Nintendo Switch. Not exactly what you're asking, but even as a full-grown adult I still refer to myself as girl instead of woman. You know, as in girls' night out kind of thing. But I've recently become a mother and I realized I don't think of myself as a girl anymore, but as a woman. I'm 38 BTW. The moment I realized I was an emotionally immature woman child. When I got my first adult/career paycheck. When I paid off all my debt. Can't name a specific age, but losing a parent will make you grow up pretty fast. I still see myself as a 16Y/O. The adult thing just doesn't work for me, so maybe, if I'll ignore it, it'll go away. My freshman year of college, when I had to create my entire schedule by myself, and the school didn't do it for me, like in high school. I was fully on my own for the first time and entirely responsible for myself. Which I was painfully aware of when I decided to never have another 8 AM class again. TBH not yet and maybe never will. When I called my mom for life advice, and instead of telling me what to do, or giving options on what I can do, her response was, well, you can figure it out. I've seen you do it. Seriously caught me off guard. For me it really hit when I moved far away from home. Out here I was completely on my own. I could do whatever I wanted, make my own financial decisions, live whatever lifestyle I wanted. I set out to make a name for myself that wasn't in my father's shadow. The first time my adult cousin Kathy asked to borrow a large amount of money from me, it's practically a rite of passage in my family. I'm 30 and still sometimes don't fully think of myself as an adult. Most of the time I do, but my sense of humor, for example, has not matured past the age of 13. I'm also child free, and at this point in my parents' life they had 2 kids, and I rent with my girlfriend of 4 years instead of owning a home. When I started thinking I'm turning into my parents with pride and not horror. When I started taking my responsibilities more seriously than my feelings. Later than I would like to admit. I was about 32. Despite living on my own since 17 and owning my own house since 24, I always thought someone would be there to help out or look after me if something happened or I needed it. Aka my parents. They aren't. I realize that they're a bit selfish and don't really feel the need to be close. When I had a real tough year work-wise, mental health and some disasters to my home, I realized I was entirely on my own as an adult. It's a bit scary realizing I have no one to fall back on and that I have to take care of myself. Let's be honest. Don't we still feel like a kid inside? A few months after I started college, I asked my mom and dad if I could go to dinner with some friends from high school. I was visiting home, and we all ran into each other unexpectedly and decided to make a night out of it. I remember my dad specifically saying, "You don't have to ask us, bud. Just let us know where you are, so we know you're not hurt." That single sentence really fucking hit. I'm 36, and I constantly have to remind myself that I'm not 15 and don't have homework. But I do have 3 jobs and rent and bills, which feels worse sometimes. Age 27. It was a gradual change over a few years. But, I dunno. Everything just feels different now. The spark of wonder and the dreams of what am I gonna be when I grow up have faded away. And now I see myself and where I'm in life and have the realization that I'm the one in control now. I can visualize my own death, hopefully at a ripe old age, and I've accepted it. And now it's up to me to fill in the rest of that finite block of time with something meaningful to me. I have to make my own little painting of a life. And I gotta make sure I at least get the colors right, so that when I look back at a later date, it's a nice painting to look at amidst the billions of others that make up our own little corner of a universe we don't understand. Only time I feel like an adult is when talking to my daughter. Any other time I'm still that goofy kid. 10 years old. Man of the house. I had to take care of my sister's baby and keep the house up. Cleaning, cooking, yard work, appliance repair. I would get odd looks carrying washing machine parts on public transit. As a kid, I understood my parents were not the most rational educated people. They were and are often anti-intellectual. I knew from a young age that I had to be my own parents, or else turn out like they did.